Welcome back to the Ergo Proxy Retrospective and the character component of it. With Riel discussed, that now leaves us with the other main character of the main duo. Of course, that's Vincent Law. In many ways, Vincent is the exact opposite of Riel, although this often works to the benefit of both the show, and the two complement each other extremely well. They learn much from each other and grow in each other's weaknesses and strengths as the show progresses. But what exactly do they learn? And what do they do? To answer the latter question, Vincent Law is introduced in episode 1 as an immigrant from Mosque who currently works taking down infected autorevs in the lower levels of Romdale City. He is initially a very meek man who, for some reason, is pursued by Monad Proxy, and this of course results in the Monad Mall massacre. However, when Monad finally seems to corner Vincent, oddly enough, Monad is the one that doesn't make it out alive, although this will be visited later. However, Raul Creed, seeing his family murdered and now needing someone to take the heat for the mall attack and the Real attack, blame Vincent for all of these things, and he kind of scapegoats him from here. This causes Raul to label Vincent a fugitive and chase him throughout the dome. Of course, when he finally finds him, after tracking Riel down, who tracks Vincent down herself, Vincent escapes through the airlock with the help of Pino. It is here that he now enters the commune and inadvertently dooms it by destroying a patrol drone, although Vincent ends up playing on the Senzon with Pino and some other commune survivors after a brief run-in with Riel. Along the way, Vincent learns that he is a proxy, Ergo Proxy, agent of death, and that his amnesia and mysterious dreams will slowly start to make sense, as it is revealed that he is a proxy who wiped its memories in order to stay sane and move on from his traumatic past. Eventually, he runs into Riel again, and the two affirm the goal of getting to Mosque so that Vincent can learn his past and the two can understand the mystery of the proxy itself. Along the way, he grows more sure of himself and even confesses feelings for Riel. Although this isn't a main aspect of the show, she seems to tolerate it and eventually return feelings by the end of the series. Once the two make it to Mosque, Vincent is distraught to find nothing more than a ruined dome and a room full of scribbles he can't read. He had hoped to find more and a clear-cut answer to his questions, although he does get the answer that his fate lies in Romdale. Now knowing this, him, Pino, and Riel once again board the Senzon and head home, to finally learn the truth of the proxy and the world around them. It is in burning Romdale now where Vincent and Riel finally learn the truth of Proxy 1, and Vincent's existence as the creator of Romdale. It is said that Vincent was the proxy of Romdale originally, and that he helped create the dome. He is the one that appointed Riel's grandfather as regent, in fact. He is the creator of all he sees, although he is a flawed creator, and for this reason left because he couldn't deal with both his flaws and the flaws of his creations. While initially distraught over all these revelations, Vincent steels himself in his newfound resolve and affirms that the past can't change who he is now, and that he must do what is right. As such, he confronts Proxy 1, who wants nothing more than to see humanity die off, and ends up killing him himself. Although not before the clone of Monad Proxy offers him a way out via, quote, heavenly light. While Vincent does see the opportunity presented here, he refuses, as he states that even if life is full of pain and negative experiences, it is also full of joy and pleasant experiences. As such, he must remain on Earth and stay with those he loves and continue growing into the best version of himself. The final shot of both Vincent and the show is Vincent standing tall, reflecting on who he is and his newfound desire to live. This leads us to looking at Vincent's character, and like Riel's, it is one full of growth, though in very different directions. For Vincent, his main growth lies in accepting himself and the truth. On the front of embracing himself, Vincent's growth here is very clear. He goes from an immigrant very obviously trying to repress his identity and individuality in an attempt to find acceptance in his new home, to an agent of death, trekking his own path and proud of who and what he is. While this trek is gradual, we can see it start from very early on, and it only accelerates as he masters his proxy powers and learns that his power can be used to protect in addition to destroy. Using his powers in this way greatly enhances his self-esteem as he protects Pino and later Riel. In fact, it is these two and their acceptance which help Vincent assert himself and end up accepting himself, as they provide support and drive to his quest. With Pino, Vincent serves as a sort of father, and the two are obviously close. Not only does this enhance Vincent's good guy image, but it also provides a sort of emotional support for him, showing him that, proxy or not, he is still a good being and worthy of respect. In Riel's case, while Vincent teaches her the power of compassion, she enhances his drive and keeps him moving. On the topic of this compassion, it should be noted that it is his compassion which in the end pushes Vincent past the goal line, pushes Vincent the furthest. While his quest is initially motivated by fear and panic, it is compassion which sustains him. It does this by enabling him to endear himself to the two who would ultimately help him see through his quest. If he was not the compassionate man that he was, It is doubtful he would have got the necessary support from either Pino or Riel. This compassion is also reflective of Vincent's role as a flawed creator. He's obviously very nice, but also initially very flawed, and this manifests in running away, and is only rectified with the help of others. Really, if one wants to think of it, Ergo Proxy can be seen as sort of a redemption quest, as Vincent finally comes to terms with his past, his running away, and who he really is. He finally accepts himself and finds the acceptance he craves, not by repressing who he is, but instead by embracing himself, and allowing others to embrace him as well. As such, by the conclusion of the series, he is self-assured and confident, and a man who has grown out of his timid shell he imposed upon himself to fit in. Vincent also learns to accept the truth, and this is another juxtaposition of Riel. Where Riel had strived to learn the truth constantly from the start, Vincent was initially hesitant to learn it, as he was aware that it may disturb him. Ultimately, though, Vincent learns he cannot run forever, and starts to embrace the learning process as well. As such, he goes on to accept that he is Ergo Proxy, and many other truths along the way. He accepts the fact that he needs to grow as a person, and that accepting the truth of the world is an important first step in this. As such, he learns to accept himself, and he also learns to accept the past. He accepts who he is and who he was and who he's done, although he firmly accepts himself, saying that the past doesn't matter as he lives in the present. He teaches us that true strength is not unlocked through physical power or monetary means or some other material measurement, but instead through oneself. Truly, the answers are within, and by learning what is within and growing and reflecting on these things, one can truly embrace who they are, their own true strength, and this can be unlocked and harnessed for further growth and development, for the good of everyone. This is shown by the fact that Vincent never actually unlocks any new strength or grows stronger, but simply instead learns to unlock what he already has, and in turn use it for the good of those around him and himself on his quest for truth. Finally, I'd like to touch on the aspects of Ergo Proxy itself. Now, the word ergo means therefore, and is often known for being part of the phrase cogito ergo sum, which was said by Descartes and roughly means I think, therefore I am. A proxy is something which serves in the place of something else. So Ergo Proxy could be roughly translated as therefore something else, or therefore in place of, which, considering the material covered, is quite appropriate. Though I also want to mention that, hilariously, Dai Sato confirmed the name of the show was chosen simply because, quote, it sounded pretty cool. First, though, I'd like to speculate that there's another aspect to this name, and that aspect is that it perhaps is a shout-out to Friedrich Nietzsche, who, again, his philosophy was very influential on the production of this show and its writing, and Nietzsche always saw the phrase, I think, therefore I am, as an unprovable fallacy. So this would kind of be a fitting criticism of the line in line with what Nietzsche would think. Vincent also fits into the philosophy of Nietzsche in that he embodies the sort of new man that Nietzsche foresaw, or at least hoped for. A man who would ascend above the decaying morality of his day and the mediocrity of its society to hearken a new age. This person would be among the few strong enough to confront their own past and accept their mistakes, to fully grow into a strong person, to fully ascend to the highest form of humanity. This is a person who would help society overcome nihilism and set a new status quo for a new better age and a new better society. In the literal scope of the show, Vincent is often in place of Ergo Proxy, and Ergo Proxy is therefore Vincent, and Vincent Ergo Proxy. They are two different sides of the same coin, which connect to the original production idea of everyone having an alter ego. That's not to say Ergo Proxy himself is some kind of horrid monster or the exact opposite of Vincent. While not completely fleshed out, Ergo Proxy seems relatively sound of mind, though he can be quite morbid and brutal at times. His place as the Agent of Death may also seem a bit out of place, but I think it makes sense with context and ultimately the plot of the show. Ergo Proxy's place is not to bring death in a literal sense, but to hearken the death of an age. In this case, this is the awakening. The thing that Ergo Proxy is killing is an era of stagnation and death. It is killing the era which humanity currently finds itself in. In this sense, Ergo Proxy's mission and position still benefit mankind and serve as a commentary on the need to always move forward. This also explains how the Agent of Death has such a strong will to live, and how Vincent can still serve as an excellent protagonist, as both he and his alter ego strive to kill the ignorance and hopelessness holding them back. They seek to kill death itself, and seek, of all things, to live, and affirm the will to live in humanity itself, and the beauty of life itself.